Okay, so go back in the shulchan Aruch. Misha nishba or neder lasos davar tuchshana. So I'm going to do something in a whole year. I'm going to finish Ketuvot in the whole year, or BeYom ploni, or I'm going to give tzedakah on Tuesday, whatever. Yesh lo lasot miyad. Do it immediately. So don't just put off. Oh, I've got the whole year to do whatever Masechah Megillah. I won't start now. Do it miyad. Or b'shachris k'shigia osayom. So if you say, so you're going to give tzedakah on Tuesday, so then when Tuesday pops up, so now in the shachris you should give that tzedakah. Shema yishkach achar v'lo yisenu. Maybe you'll forget later on. You're like, oh, I forgot the whole thing. And if he does that, yavar al neder v'shavuaso. And if he doesn't do it immediately, ki amar adayin yeshli penai. Oh, I've got time to do this. Lasosa v'shachach ornenes achar v'lo. Now, see here v'shachach v'ornena. So I mean, is forgetting an oines? Again, like you've had the whole year to do it. You wait until the last day, and then on the last day you just don't bother. But I forgot about it. I knew in the morning. I was like, oh, I have to do this, and I just like forgot about it till it was too late. So there's a shachach oroines achar. So that's the mikri oines. He's called an oines. That is the pshitas haran. So we have a maklok. So that's called an oines. So here you forgot. You just forgot. You're on the last day. You forgot about it, and that's called an oines. So that's the run. So it's clear that's quite makel, because you've had the whole year to do this. You could have done it any day. And you just kept on waiting and waiting and waiting, and then you waited till the last day to say, I'll give tzedakah one day. I'll give 30 shekels tzedakah one day in the next 12 months, and I just leave it up. I just leave it until the last day. I've waited 365 days. And then I just forgot about it on that day. It says, oh yeah, I'm going to do it. And I forgot about it. That's called an oines. L'cher is quite makel. And shitas haran. That's called an oines. BeYom Acharon nikra oines. Yesh aimrim de lo mikra oines. So they'll say it's not called an oines. And that's a chidushe aguda. So the aguda says that it is not an oines. So who is the aguda? So we've had the aguda. This is the aguda here. So have a look at his biography. So the Aguda is in the 13th century. His mentors were disciples of Rebbe Meir of Rothenburg. So he's in the time he generally follows the rule of Tosis. He's like at the end of a late Tosis, but in words of halacha, the Aguda is quite well known. You may not have heard him before, but he's a strong voice of late Rishonim. So this is an idea in Gitin. B'Rishoina haya nitman BeYom Acharon shel shnayim esar chodesh. So this is what not this week's but last week's parsha, where you have you buy a house in a walled city, so that the seller is allowed to redeem the house in the 12 months. So when he redeems the house in the 12 months, so he has the whole 12 months in order to redeem the house. So here, originally, they would hide on the last day. So the seller, so the buyer of the house is sitting in the house. It comes the last day. He'll run away. He'll go away on vacation. So then if the buyer wants to buy the house back on the last day, then he can't do it because the guy's not there anymore. So Hiskin Hillel Hazaken Shiaten Maos of Lelishka Vahu Shoyer Sederos V'Nikna. So Hillel was metaken that you just kick down the door and you put the money on his table, and then it's called a good sale. So is the case clear here that you can redeem? You live in a house in a walled city. You need to sell it because you need the money to pay your gambling debts. So then you sell your house for $100. You now pay off your debts and you need the $100, and then you have 12 months now, and if you give the guy back $100, you get your house back. So you go on the last day, and on the last day, the seller of the house has conveniently made himself sparse. So you can't find him on the last day, so you can't pay him. So Hillel was mitzaken, he can just kick his door down and put the money on his desk, and that's called his chotzer is kind of loy. That's called he gave him the money. So that's the case. So therefore, you're able to get your house back on the last day. So mikan nira adam sheneder lasos davar echod toch shloshim yom. So from here it's apparent that if someone made a neder, I'm going to do something in 30 days. So again, just something that is simple. Let's say I'm going to do one parak of Mishnayos. Okay, so there you can do it in half an hour, you can do it in 10 minutes, you can do it in an hour, whatever. So I'm going to do a parak of Mishnayos in 30 days. Or zman acher velo nenes toch hazman. So the first 29 days there was no oines. You could have done that parak of Mishnayos on any of those first 29 days. V'haya yachol la sois. You're able to do it. Uveyom demashlim zmanim. That's Yom Acharon. And on the last day, nenos, there's an oines. Lo kri oines. It's not called an oines. How do I know it's not called an oines? Mi de hutzrach hillel litaken. The fact that Hillel had to mitaken, because what's our story? Our story is that the guy would hide himself on the last day, and he couldn't get paid. So since he's hiding himself on the last day, so therefore that's an oinus. Since I'm the seller, I'm trying to buy my house back on the last day, an oinus BeYom Acharon, it should be called an oinus, and therefore it should be called that I paid him, or it should be called that I get an extra day, or whatever it is. So when God gave me 12 months to pay it back, if I had an oinus in that last day, so therefore, it's called an oinus. I wasn't able to do it because of an oinus. That's called I did it. That's the sugi we're doing here. That because of an oinus, I either was able to do it or I wasn't able to do it, and that's called that I did it or I didn't do it. So here, the only reason I wasn't able to pay him because of an oinus. So therefore, the fact that Hillel was had to metaken, even though in the Torah it was pashut that we have the lenayr lo tasedavar that Rashi is learning the oinus from that case called Torah Kula. So therefore, this oinus BeYom Acharon can't be an oinus, because if it was, so it's lo kri oinus. If it was, Hillel wouldn't have to metaken anything, because that would be called I paid him, even though I didn't pay him, because the only reason I didn't pay him was because of an oinus. So therefore, Hillel had to metaken the hahaka nenes BeYom Acharon. Here he's nenes BeYom Acharon, and therefore it should be a good sale. That's the aguda, and again we saw it in the Shulchan Aruch. The Shulchan Aruch says in the name of the aguda that it is, here it's called the Yesh Oimrim de Lo Mikri Onis, so that the Aguda is the Shita of that Onis BeYom Acharon. It's not called an Onis. Okay? That's the Shitas of the Aguda. So the Ktzot gets going. This is the Shlo Yeoines, and obviously this is in Choshen Mishpat. This is in a bit of a different dim. It's the same type of idea of where you basically the case in the Shulchan Aruch is where you have an asmachta is that you pay off half your loan. Let's say you owe the guy $100 and you pay him back $50. Now the shtar still says $100 on it, so you give a third party the shtar for $100 and you say, if I don't pay the rest of this money in 30 days, i.e. if I don't pay $50 in 30 days because you've already paid half, then give the shtar back to the lender and I'll pay the whole thing. I'll have to pay the whole thing. So you have 30 days to do it. And then on the last day, you were oines and you couldn't pay on the last day and you're screaming. So there it says that is, it's not an oines and you don't have to, you don't lose your money because you were oines. The only reason you didn't pay is because you were oines. But in the second, so he goes through some ideas, and then he says here, the kachnira the base arei chayma shenifta ad yud beis chodesh imaru oines shelo haya yechul lefteru kol ashana gam kain eina chayzer limkor. So he's learning the case of the aguda in a different way. Umishum dahavi kamo megarish amanash shenatali metayim zuz. So he's comparing this case of a gerushin Alpi Tanai. So he's coming to be choylek on the Aguda, because again the Ran says that Oinus BeYom Acharon is called an Oinus, and the Aguda says it's not called an Oinus. So he's learning the whole case of the house, the Ari on the last day, in a whole different case. It's like a house that's Al Tanai. And an oinus happens, shlo heta yechola liten afilu hachi kol zman shlo nisna enam migareshes, all the time. So he says, here's a get on condition that I give you, the shenatati li, that you give me 200 zuz. So you get a get, you just have to give me 200 zuz. So she wasn't able to give him 200 zuz because of an oinus. Even so, all the time that she didn't give it, she's not megareshes. Why? To have oines rachmana chayave. Rashi's talking about a case of oines rachmana patre, but here we have a case of oines rachmana chayave, because I never did the act physically. So there, can you say that I was an oines and I didn't do it? Therefore, make it as if I did it. V'lo amrinin. We don't say such a thing. Onis rachmana chayve. So what Rashi's bringing onis rachmana patre is that when you did it, when you did something ba'oines, so there it's called onis rachmana patre. So that says that you didn't do the act. But when you didn't do an act, that's not called onis rachmana. That's called onis rachmana chayve. That I didn't do it because I was oines. It's called onis rachmana chayve. V'lo amrinin. We don't say that. Oines command David. We don't say that an oines is like you did it. It's just an oines like you didn't do it. And like we say elsewhere, the hachanami, bati base bati arichoima takef nikne le lokeach. So here's a whole new way of understanding it, according to the Ktzos, that the bati arichoima is that it's immediately owned by the buyer. Eilish istiva hatayra al tanai. He's learning that the Torah gives a tanai sheyeh reshus biyad a moicher liftoisoi, that the moicher can get it back. So if I buy a house in a walled city, it's al tanai that if the seller wants to get the house back, he can just pay me whatever I paid within toch shnayim asar chodesh, within 12 months. And anyone who doesn't do it, even al yidei oines ein hasadeh chayzer lemoicher. So therefore, because the oines is causing him not to do it, it's not like he paid me at all. So that's the side of the Ktzos, and therefore you can't learn out the whole way that the Aguda is learning out from Bate Irchaima of that an oines BeYom Acharon is an oines. He's saying that this isn't the case because Bate Irchaima is like you're selling it al tanai. Okay, and this whole idea we get a raya from the first parak of Kesuvos. Bahad the parak minta tanan. Im lo bati mikam v'yet shnayim asar chodesh u'meis v'tok shnayim asar chodesh eino get. So he says, if I come in 12 months and he dies in 12 months, time with the meis v'chala lo. But if he's sick, then in not. Ayin sham t'chachichim mizeh de'ein oines begitin. So we'll see. Go see that Gemara there, which we saw that there's ein oines begitin. So that when he's sick, he didn't come. So, im lo bati mikan, if I don't come for 12 months, and he didn't come for 12 months, but chala is not a get. So chala is a get, because if he died, it's not a get. But if he's sick, it is a get. So if he's sick, he didn't come, but he only didn't come because of oines. Maybe that he's been sick. It's not because he's able to come beforehand that he's sick. Ela meis eno get afol gav de yochol levo korum shemeis mishum de ein get la'achar misa. That the whole point, he says that maybe the whole point is because ain't get la'achar misa. But when somebody's sick, then he could have just come earlier. Maybe like the sick is an oines BeYom Acharon. Ela muchach the kol she'oines b'sof zman. Have a oines vahu boror. So you can't say the chala is a oines BeYom Acharon. You had the whole 12 months in order to do to arrive and mevatel the get, and he didn't do it. So this is the case of oines BeYom Acharon, and we still see there that the Gemara is saying that it is called an oines. So therefore, that an oines BeYom Acharon is called an oines. Even though he had time to say it, Eile Muchach to call She'eines B'sof Zman is an oines, and that's bar and ayin. This is so he's also saying this is going back to the netter because the Ktzos is only in Choshen Mishpat, which is going on a different din. So in short, the Ktzos is arguing on the din of the Aguda, and he's going like the Ran, and he's proving it from our Gemara. Now the Nitzivis is going to argue on the Ktzos. And he's going to explain, he's going to have an okimta, like the Aguda. He's going to defend the Aguda. So the Nitzivis is saying that the Aguda is not saying a general din of oines BeYom Acharon is lo have oines. It's not what the Aguda is saying. The Aguda is saying specifically in the case of a neder, there in the case of the neder, there you are called it's a sof zman. There is a different reason for the sof zman. But in general, if you have a tanai, he'll agree with the Gemara and say that if it's on tanai, then it's called oinus. But oinus BeYom Acharon, where the neder is different. Mitam, why? Daita dahachi vadai lo asning. Because when you make a tanai, you have in mind that if I'm oinus akadekach, then I'm not going to, if I'm sick and I can't make it up because of an oinus, and I can't fulfill my tanai because of oinus, so therefore vada, that's not the idea which I had. And therefore the umdana, it's obvious that included in the tanai is that, so if I say that here's a get, if I don't come in 30 days, and then within 30 days get sick, so then that's obviously not part of the tanai. I'm saying I give myself 30 days to come, and therefore if an oinus happens in those 30 days, it's mochach that that's not part of the umdana. So therefore, if I make a tanai, then for obviously an oinus BeYom Acharon is called an oinus, because if I say if I don't come in 30 days, and it's oinus BeYom Acharon, well, why didn't I say 29 days? I gave myself the full 30 days in order to do it. So therefore, an oinus BeYom Acharon is part of the tanai that if an oinus happens, then I never had the idea daita dahachi. Now again, this is going like the Shittas Iran, in which we saw that it's that the reason that ein oinus גיטין is because of an umdana of das. Rak bo oinse de shchiach amrinen de havele lasrunein. That's what it says first in the Gemara as discussed. Mashen came below shchiach, but if it's not shchiach, amrinen de lo asik adaite la asinu mishum de lo shchiach. So this is basically the pshat in the Gemara that the bus being late is a shchiach oines, and therefore if that's oines, if that's the oines is going to hold you back, then you have to say. If the bus is late because it's an onis to shkiach, but an onis to not shkiach, it's clear that he didn't want that to happen. Below plig rak ben nadarim. It's only in nadarim where the aguda is making this chiluk. For gam shulchan aruch lo hevi haplukta rak b'yoredeya. So we saw in our Gemara that this maklokus between the Ran and the aguda, it's only in the case of when you're making a neder. So the Nesivus is saying that the shulchan aruch agrees with him. So the shulchan aruch brings v'lo hevi plukta zu gavi mamam b'chosh mishpat. So so this idea of oinus BeYom Acharon comes up in different places, and Shulchan Aruch only brings that oinus BeYom Acharon lo havi oinus on the last day only in the case of nadarim. He's going to say why. V'nir de davka ben nadarim sfar leila aguda sfarazu. It's only in the case of nadarim that the aguda has a sfar. The sfar leila dahad de ben nadarim kusha oinus mutter. Eino mishom that daita dahachi lo neder. Because in the case of nadarim, when an oines like matters you from the neder, it's not because of daita dahachi lo neder. That's not the reason. The kol ki hagavna ikela meimar daita dahachi lo neder tzarach heter hacham. Because by nadarim there's a special din called heter hacham, that when you make a neder and then you say, well, if I had known this, then I would never have made the neder. So then there's a special din. Your neder is not mutter now. You have to go to the chacham, and the chacham has to matter your neder. So there's a special case of go to the chacham and he'll matter your neder. That's where the oines happens in the neder. And if you don't go to the chacham, therefore the neder still chals. The chol sha'ailos nedarim hu kach. So therefore the Chacham will then make it a neder tos. If you had known that you had been sick in these 30 days, would you have made the neder? No, I didn't. So therefore it becomes a neder tos only by the Chacham. And then you go to Hataris Nadarim, and you say, if I was doing this and these things, this is the ikar of going to Hataris Nadarim. That the Hataris Nadarim, you have to go to a basin, you have to go to the Chacham, and he'll match the neder. Because of that, you don't get the matcher neder. Come over nazir. Even though you had the sinus, you need a heter hacham. Rakshanidri oines heter rachmana mitam to oines rachmana patre. So there's two things going on. One is oines rachmana patre, and the other thing is that you have this idea of a daita dahachi. So when you have an daita dahachi, there you need the hacham. But then if you have an oines rachmana patre, so therefore it's a case of that's called the nidre oines. So in the With the Aguda says, when's it not called an oines that you don't need a heter chacham? That's only an oines and you weren't able to do it at all. Because now we have the stira between nidre oines, which is the Mishnah we saw in Nadarim, and then we have this idea of the chacham is matter your neder. So the Aguda is making the chiluk that when you weren't able to makayim the neder at all, that's when you have to go. That's when it's called an oines, a neder oines, and you don't have anything to do. But the as shaykh loimer or nishkona patre aval kashaya efshar lo lakayim neder rak shepesha v'taycha li'amachron v'azen lo mikre oines lagamri. So therefore, in this case, where you have the first 30 days in order to do the neder, you just never did it, then you get oines later, that's called you need to go to the chacham. But if all 30 days you were sick, so then that's called you never had the chance to makayim the neder, and therefore that's called nedre oines, and therefore that's batul me'alav. So again, the case in the Mishnah would be, I am forcing you to come to my party on Thursday night and make a neder that if you don't come, so then my house is usher to you. And then on Thursday the guy's sick, so therefore he never had a chance to come to the party at all. So he's saying according to the Aguda, if he had a chance to come to the party for the first half and then got sick for the second half, the neder would chal, because, and that's not what the Mishnah is talking about, because he could have fulfilled the neder, but and that's not a neder oines. A neder oines is only when the whole time he couldn't do it, and therefore an oines BeYom Acharon is called an lo asagadaita, and there you need a Talmid Chacham to bottle the neder. So that's a simple chiluk in the Aguda between our Gemara and Nadarim. Is that chiluk clear? You want me to say it again?
Can you go through that one more time, please, actually?
So we have the Aguda, and he's saying that neders, an oines of a neder, an oines BeYom Acharon is called an oines, whereas our Gemara says the ktzot is not called an oines. So the Nitzivis is making a difference between. He says only davka by Nadarim is the Aguda saying that an oines BeYom Acharon is called an oines, because an oines by a neder you need a chacham to matter the neder. That's what we do, the hataras nadarim in front of the beis din,
right.
in order to get so therefore the idea of asakadaita. So we said like the ran last time. We said that the ran is learning in nadar in our case hayno onis גיטין, because whenever you make a tanai, it's your muchrach b'das. What's in your das is part of the tanai, and since you never had the tanai that if I get sick and I don't come, that was never part of your tanai. So therefore hayno onis גיטין. Because it's clear that in the Tanai, that you never, that was not really part of the Tanai. So in a neder where it's not part of the Tanai, you have to go to a chacham to get it matired. But by a Tanai, you don't have that problem of the chacham, and therefore there's a difference between a neder and there's a difference between a neder and a Tanai, and therefore the Aguda will agree to our Gemara, because that's just the Tanai is learning like the Ran. It's to do with your an umda of das, and which is if you apply umda of das to Nadarim, then you need a chacham. That's what an umda of das is. If I had known this to be true, I would never have made the neder. You have to go to the chacham. Whereas by the Tanai of Gitin, if I had known that the bridge would be gone, I would never have given that Tanai of the Gitin. That's not part of the that you don't need the chacham to do it. Now there it would be a common one, but if I got sick, it would be a tanai. So therefore, it's an umda das. Obviously, you would never have made that tanai, and therefore the aguda would agree there. So now we have another chiluk in the in this idea of onis BeYom Acharon, neder, and our Gemara. If odi name is the chassan soffer, so odi name nami lesof ותלתין yomim hayinu אחרונה al hayom. So what do you say that at the end of 30 days? So this is the Gemara. You say I'm going to come at the end of 30 days, and he came at the end of 30 days, and the bridge is down. Hayinu axrona shel hayom. He came at the last hour. Minkom lo dami. It's not similar to the aguda. Shrei diktok b'lashoinoi, he's diktok and says v'netatzel but techilas hayom. So the Chasam Sofer is learning a whole different way of learning the Aguda, because the Aguda says that that he had the day to do it, and he was nitatzel. He was lazy at the beginning of the day. Since he was lazy, so here, so let's see what he Nira Adam sheneder lasos davar echad in 30 days or in his man acher. But lo nenas tochazman. He had it. He wasn't honest with tochazman. So he could have done it. Then at the end of the time, he was honest. So zeh shaykh hasam ben nishba. That's shaykh there because he took the shavua. The al korchat tzrichen anu loimer shahayadato b'kol eight l'kaim shavua so u'lishalem. So when he makes a shavua, as soon as he makes the shavua, he has constantly the idea that he's going to do it. Im kain ma shehemtim ad Acharon hayinu at atzlus. So it's laziness that he didn't do it. So if I say I've got 30 days to do a parak of Mishnayos, I should do it immediately. And the fact that I don't do it immediately is laziness. The kain tiktok nemuke Yosef and Ketzet regel. The Indian tefilas mencha. So we saw this that the Ran was also in Ketzet regel. So he's going to bring in this idea. So in the tefilas mencha, keven teike mitzvah lezruzi lakadume. So Davka the Tefillah Mincha. This is going to be a bit of a machlokas. This is how the Chasam Sofer is bringing down, and the Chasam Sofer holds of this, and the Nuka Yosef holds of this. That by Mincha it's a mitzvah lakdume to do Mincha as soon as possible. Sheharei Ostru Leisha Lefnei HaSefer Samach LeMincha Ketoila. So we see that we have all these, or is it Mincha Katana Ein Sham, that we say in the Mishnah, is the second Mishnah in Shabbos, that for mincha you shouldn't be doing all these actions before mincha. So we see that there's an inyan that you should do mincha as early as possible. Im kain have atzlus betchilaso. So therefore, that he forget v'lo shemei oines, and therefore it's not called an oines. So therefore we have the din of so you have until what time is Shkia today? Over here we have it like 7:40 or something. 7:47, 7:45 is Shkia. So mincha gedoyle is like 1:15 or something. So it's 2 o'clock. You have a mincha. There's a mincha right there at 2 o'clock, and you didn't do it because you have your own mincha that you like to go to at 7. So you don't go to 2. Just 1 or 3. You didn't go to. You didn't go to 4. And then at 7, there's an einus happens. He's Hatzalah. He has to take care. He's a doctor. He has to go save somebody. He has to go do something, whatever it is. So he's einus, or even he just forgot about it. He forgot about it at 7 o'clock. Then at 8 o'clock, he's like, oh no, I forgot about it. Can I do a makeup tefila? So that's einus BeYom Acharon. Right? You left it to the last minute. You had the whole time of mincha to do it. You left it to the last minute. And then you were oinus. You had a proper oinus. You had to go and save this guy's life. You were oinus BeYom Acharon. But since you had the chance to do it earlier, and you didn't do it, that's called an oinus BeYom Acharon. So what the Chasam Sofer is saying is because when you have a mitzvah, or when you have so once you make a shavua, you have a mitzvah to do it. When you have a neder, you have a mitzvah to do it. So when you're dealing with a mitzvah, so therefore you should do your mitzvah ASAP. Yeah, Abraham gets up in the morning and he does his bris. There's a mitzvah lekadume. Since you have a mitzvah lekadume, so therefore it's rizas. You should do your mechuyev to do it as quick as possible. So therefore, when the time of mincha comes, so therefore you're called a posheya because you should have done it earlier and then you didn't do it. So you have, I've seen like Sephardim, that have brisses or whatever in the afternoons. So there, what if chas v'chalila some oinus happened and they couldn't do the bris at 4, even though they could have done the bris at 8 in the morning? So that's an oinus BeYom Acharon, and then according to the shita of the Chasam Sofer, they'd be posheya because it's a posheya in the Indian of Kares. So there, as a reason makdin mitzvahs, do the mitzvahs as quick as possible. Since you have a mitzvah to do it, get up and do it. But so the chaim BeYom b'moicher beis bate. So you have the 12 months in the micro base Arichaima she mitzvah lezeruze velo matzile memor lo be'inya leftoisa. So also in the case of when you're bati Arichaima, since the Torah gives you it's a mitzvah to be to redeem your own house, therefore you shouldn't wait until the last moment. His house in Eretz Yisrael, he's just going to let it go and sell it forever. For sure, you shouldn't be doing that. So we should be zariz nafsho nami imkein mikri atzel. So therefore, that's all case of atzel is called lazy. So that's all in the case of mitzvahs, the case of nadarim, that he is a posheya BeYom Acharon. Masha ein kain haka betana beget. But that's not the case when you make a tanai and a get. And achinami yamru shebetchila havi kavanos shelo lekayim tanayo v'yi get. It could be in achinami. Yeah, sure. When he originally gave the get, he wasn't planning on. He gave the get because he wanted to give a get. But why did he give the 30 days? Because the whole point of giving himself 30 days was to give himself 30 days to consider over the whole point. Ubezu rega nimlach, and in that he was nimlach uma mitzvah. So that was that rega. He gave himself 30 days, and then he was nimlach on the 30th day. He woke up and he's like, you know what? I don't want to divorce this woman. Uma mitzvah lizruze. There's no mitzvah to lizruze. So this idea of bittling the get is not a mitzvah. It's his choice. He's doing it in order to give that choice. So he's saying here, if he mevatels his get, he's paining his wife. His wife will be free. She can do whatever she wants. So she'll pain his wife if he mevatels the get. Therefore, it's not a mitzvah to do it. Therefore, why should he be zariz and do it earlier? So it's not called atzlos. V'get hu berotzto kachaymer biyad ha-yoytzer. And therefore, the get, it's like the it's the chaymer in the hand of the former. Berotzutu makayim berotzu mevatlo ad rega Acharon. Shekeva lo yemei lomer lo mayaseh. Who's going to tell him what to do with his own chaymer? V'zeh boror l'chol mevin, and that's clear to everyone who understands. So, for example, if you, let's say you're buying a company, and you go into you pay money or whatever, and then you get due diligence days. That you get like exclusivity for 30 days in order to look at the company, and you're able to open up all the books, and you have due diligence on those 30 days. So as soon as you get the due diligence, he calls you up after the first day and says, well, have you made your decision yet? It's like, no, because I have 30 days. It's the whole point of this thing. And therefore there's no, you've kind of bought time in order to do it. That's the whole thing of having that time. And there's lots of cases where you want the time in order to make up your mind. Or if you're interviewing someone for a job and they come in on the first day, and then as soon as they finish, you say, well, have you made up your mind? He says, well, I'll get back to you with it within a week. And he says, well, am I the person or not? It's like, well, I have a week. There's no mitzvah in order to do it. That you have the time. That's why that's why you're taking the time in order to make your decision. There's no mitzvah to do it as soon as possible. You want to take as much time as possible to make your decision because new information comes. So when it comes to doing a mitzvah, it's not that way. As soon as you get a mitzvah, it's a mitzvah to do it immediately. Do it. You have to be zariz, and therefore by a neder, do it on the first day. And therefore the Aguda would agree with our Gemara because he has no mitzvah to mevatel to get immediately. He has 30 days. He's given himself 30 days to make the decision, and therefore it makes no difference if he does on the first day, he does on the last day. But when you have a mitzvah to do it, and make a neder to do it, you should do it immediately. Zariz is makdim mitzvahs. And therefore, when you have the mitzvah, like God wants you to do it now. When you buy yourself 30 days, there's no mitzvah to do it now. And maybe you shouldn't do it now. And again, here, why are you paying your wife right now? You gave yourself 30 days. And then, therefore, when you have a oinus BeYom Acharon, you will have you still have an oinus because this Yom Acharon, you had no mitzvah to do it on the earlier days. So the Chasna Sofar is also answering up for how the Aguda will learn our Gemara, but he's doing it differently to the Nitzivis. Is that clear? The chiluk there between the Chasna Sofar and the.
Yes.
So if we have a look at Shulchan Aruch, mi shelo hispalel ba'od sheyesh lo zman lehispalel. He didn't daven when he had time to daven. Oy. So he's just any bein mincha, bein shachris, bein arvit. Mipnei shesalver she'adayin yishar lo zman. He thinks that he'll still have time to do it. Achar sheyigmar oitoi esek shehu mitasek bo. So he's in the middle of doing something. Uben kach aver lo shah. So whatever reason, so there he loses his time. So his esek is probably watching Netflix or whatever. That I'm going to watch all Star Wars movies in a row, and I'll have time when it finishes. I'll have time to do mincha. Ben kach aver lo shah. He misses his window. Became isha hayatarod but tzorach mimenu, and he's stuck in something. Shelo yevoli day hefsed. So something that he needs to do. He won't want to come to a hefsed. Ali day kach hefsed melehis pelel. And since he's doing something, he doesn't want to lose out in business or whatever it is. He's in the middle of a meeting. The meeting the meeting said that they'll finish by 5, so you've got plenty of time to do mincha. And the meeting goes on and on and on. V'kein mishahu shakur velois pelel. So also somebody's drunk and he doesn't daven. Kulam chashivim oinesim v'yesh lehem letashlumin. So again, the big difference is, so if do you do 2 arvits or do you only do 1 arvit? And even if you want to daven a tefila of nedava, whether that's mutter or not, if you do 2 arvits, it's just a tefila nedava. It's not a tashlumim for the mincha which you missed, unless you're an oines. If you're an oines, so therefore you get a makeup. So therefore that's the nafkamin in the den. So here, are we going like the Chassan Sopher? We definitely not, because the Chassan Sopher himself there says that by mincha you're called atzel, you're called lazy, because you have to daven mincha as quick as possible, and therefore if you miss it at the end, that's called atzlos, and therefore you should have done it, and therefore you don't get a makeup. It's called bosheya. It's not called anoinus. We're not going like the Chassan Sopher. Now again, the Chassan Sopher is going like the aguda. So here, if we're just posting like the ran, that we say not like the aguda at all, that onis BeYom Acharon lod mikri onis, so therefore then this would be mutter. But it could be that just straight up the Chassan Sopher is arguing on here, and again the chiluk of the nesivus is that a neder doesn't apply, but to something else, and it does apply. And tefila is like a neder, you could say. So therefore, also it'd be not like but this wouldn't be like the aguda. It would be like it'd be like the ran. So the pashtus is like the shulchan expressing like the ran, and that it's annoyingness, even though you left it till the end. Here we have a interesting Ramah mihu lechatchila lo yever zman tefila mishum hefsed moment. I don't know what you make of that. The Shulchan Aruch seems to be clear that for a hefsed moment you can be mafsed, you can miss mincha, but lechatchila don't miss mincha for a hefsed moment. However, you're learning that. So that's the union of oines be gitin, oines be Acharon. So we have so give the Meshach Chachma. So can we have a naira lo tasa davar? So that when the naira isn't punished, because we saw in the we saw it in the Kuvit Shurim that it's like you never did the thing. So b'mechilta davar acher miyimim yimima magid adam tzarich livdok es hatefillin. His tefillin la'achar yod bes chodesh. So every year is to check his tefillin. So that's what it says in the Mechilta. So I think we'd have every 7 years is the halacha, but just lemaisa, you should only check your tefillin if there's a chashash that there's some issue with it. And I was asking someone, and he said, I said, how long does it take to check the tefillin? He says it's very quick to check. It's putting them back in the boxes that takes a long time. So because it's such a business to open up the boxes and put them back in, unless you have a reason. Once they're nicely kosher when you got them, then unless you have a reason to check them, then there's definitely a shita that you shouldn't check them. But anyway, this idea of meyamim yemima, this is at the end in Parshas Bo, when it's talking. This is one of the parshas that's in the tefillin. So it says meyamim yemima is like every day, every year, the years of the days of the year. So for every 12 months you should check the tefillin. בספר המשכון יעקב יורה דעה הביא מכאן ראיה לבדיקת הראייה מיעוט המוציא דהווה דרייסה. So here he's bringing that you have to check the lung, and the checking the lung is a mi'at hamoitzi, and therefore it's a din deraisa. That a din deraisa is that you have to check the lung. Now so we have when you have a check in these things, let's say you have a mi'ut. If you have a roiv, then for sure you have to check it. So for example, I mean, in my experience, you can argue on this. In my experience, like cauliflower and broccoli, over 50% of broccolis and cauliflowers that you just buy in the shuk, I have found animals in all the stems there. So that would be called a roiv. I mean, you can argue on me and say it's not a roiv, but from my experience, a roiv of broccoli you just buy wild or whatever has animals growing in the buds there. So therefore, the rice you have to check. Now, then you have everything else is a mi'ut. So you have a mi'ut shemotzi and a mi'ut she'ena motzi. And I heard the name of Rabbi Reisman that Poiskim say that is 10%. That a mi'ut shemotzi is called 10%. So it's a mi'ut, but it's a common mi'ut. So a common mi'ut in itself doesn't make any sense. So they say that's 10%. So anything that's over 10% then is a mi'ut shemotzi and you have to check. But a mi'ut she'ena motzi, you don't have to check. So all these books that they talk about, you have to check your peanuts and you have to check your cashews. Cashews. I have checked over 10 cashews and not find anything. If I find anything, it's like 1 in 50, 1 in 100. So I would from my experience, cashews are definitely a mi'ut she'ena motzi, and al pi din for sure you don't have to check. Now you want to check. Go check, do whatever you want to do, but I'll be then I'm saying you don't have to check. So I'm saying anything you find, if you want to know if you need to check it or not, get 10 of them and see if you find anything. If you find something in 10, so you have your 10%. If you don't find something in 10, so therefore you don't. And then, but it's so he's saying that the bedikas of the re'iyah and the lungs, that's a mi'ut moitzi to have a deraisa. I'm not sure if it's deraisa, but whatever. V'nias dati yesh loimer al pi masha she'teritzis kashius setaisvus. So Toisus has a question that why we can make shatnez shrouds. What are they called? Put dead people in shrouds. Shatnez shrouds. How can we make shatnez shrouds for dead people? Ha'ike loiglaroish. Loiglaroish is a mitzvah that they can't do. They can't do it because they're dead. But kamo Beri the azul v'shadi tachle lebeis hakrovus. So the reis, when the Toisus he would give klayim shatnez for dead people. For amarti de belota say ha'eker hu ma she'ein adam oisa. When it comes to a lotase, the most important thing is that you don't do it. So we have a difference between an aseh and a lotase. The lotase is don't do, as long as you don't do the mitzvah, you're good. But a mitzvah aseh, you need to do the mitzvah. V'im aseh machmas oynes or inyan acher hapatoyroi shov hu kamo kol adam she'aseo eino nechshav la'asiyah. So when you have a lotase and you do it because of oynes, so someone forces you to do it, eat this pig or I'll shoot you, is that you did the lotase because of oynes. Or inyan acher, something else is forcing hapaturu, that potters you from it. Shov hu kamo kol adam she'aseh eino nechshav la'asiyah. It's not called that, you did it. V'shov lo asiyah kamo zuluso. And he didn't do it like someone else didn't do it. Lo came b'mitzvah. So that's where the mitzvah's lotase, and that's what we saw in the kuvit she'urim. That the naira lotase davar is like you never did it. So therefore, when you do a lotase by compulsion, it's like you didn't do it, you're potter, there's no einish, everything's good. So therefore here, we're talking about the riyah, the biggest riyah. He's saying that you have to check, just like you have to check your tefillin every 12 months, even though kosher tefillin stay kosher in 12 months. And therefore when you check it, it's a mir, she'ena motzoi. But you still have to check it. So therefore you have to check the lung of the, check the lung, because when it comes to treifa, that you should be checking the mir, she'ena motzoi. And he's saying it's deraisa, because here the mayamim yamima is the drasha of checking your tefillin. That's deraisa. Yes, so you see why he's saying it, that checking the lung is deraisa, because the Torah says check your tefillin, even though it's a mi'at in a motzoi, you still have to check it. So the Torah is saying check michin and mutzois, and therefore, even though checking the long is a michin and mutzoi, that's called a deraisa din. So the Meshachach is going to say not like that. And he's going to say that the nair lo tased davar is that if you eat this, you're an oines if you eat this treif animal, because it's a miyat. Since it's a miyat of that the lungs are a problem. Therefore, if you eat it, you're an oines, because the Torah it says you go buster the roiv. You can't check whatever you don't check the miyat, and therefore when you eat the treif meat, because it's a miyat, you're an oines bedavar, and since you're an oines bedavar, it's like you never ate it, and therefore you never did the lo taseh. But lo kain b'mitzvah aseh, that's not like that when it comes to tefillin, which is mitzvah aseh, af shelo yaseh machmaseh is oines, even though you didn't do the mitzvah because of an oines. So therefore, the guys tefillin were posel chas v'chalila, and therefore he didn't do the mitzvahs of tefillin because it was an oines, because it was a miut that even though it was kosher, when he bought them, something happened to them in the boxes and it became bad. When he doesn't do something through an oines, it's not like he did it. But when he doesn't do it when he does lotas say because of an oines, it's like he didn't do it. But when he doesn't do something, it's like he doesn't. So if a guy eats treif because of an oines, it's like he never ate the treif. That's the lotas say. But if he didn't wear tefillin because of an oines, it's not like he wore tefillin. The sof lo aseh, because he never did it. V'im kain shapir b'meis b'lotaseh b'kalayim. Therefore, for sure, the mace can wear kalayim, because the mace is potter from mitzvahs, and therefore, when he's not doing the avera. So it's the avera, it's the lotaseh, but he's not doing it because he's dead. So he's not doing it because of the ein halavisha mityaches klal alav. This whole wearing, it's not like the guy didn't wear it because he's dead. Kevan sheneven mimenu ha-bechira v'ha-yecholos, he didn't choose to do it. It's not his mitzvah, he didn't do it. Ein lacha oines gadol mizeh. So therefore, the dead person's an oines when the live person puts kalayim on him. And therefore, he's not doing it, he's an oines, so he's doing the lotaseh of wearing the kalayim through oines. Lo kain ba'aseh. Sof lo aseh, but when it comes to the aseh, he didn't do it. So therefore, when you go to a graveyard, you can't wear tzitzis hanging out, because even though he can wear kalayim, the mitzvah's aseh of tzitzis he can't do, even though he's an oines. He's dead. He's an oines. He can't do. So what? Yeah, but he didn't do it. So the oines is stopping him from being over the lotas of kalayim, but the oines is not helping him do the mitzvah of tzitzis. V'shaper ike loy grosh, and therefore you have the mitzvah aseh of tzitzis, that's loy grosh. So therefore, don't have your tzitzis hanging out when you go to the graveyard. So this is the yisoid that l'nair lotaseh davar is like you never did the lotaseh, but it's not that you did the aseh. The kain amina. So this yisoid then answers many things, many questions, many ideas across Shas. The kain amina gam bezeh, the kaven deroiv eino treifas, that since most animals are not treif. Shovein lanon lachosh lemiot, therefore deraisa, we don't care about the miot. The hochen bossa roiv, you go after the roiv. That's the Torah din. The Torah din says go bossa the roiv. V'shav afim echad maniela if yochol treifas, and therefore if 1 in 1,000 he eats treifas. Lo tzedachas lo levera klal. It's not called he did an avera. It doesn't matter at all, because he was honest when he did it. The kamosh lo achol dami. It's like he never ate it. So eat your treif. It's like he never ate it. V'nimsa t'sholim imenu ha'achila v'lo aver klal. It's like they removed from him the eating of it, and he never did the avera at all. Lo kain mezuzah. It's not the same by a mezuzah. To im yikreh la'achar shemezuzah. So shemezuzah to im yikreh la'echod shemezuzah to tikrav, that his mezuzah was rotting. He never checked it. Af shelo hayetzarich lachush lezeh. He doesn't need to be michush that his mezuzah is rotting. V'kaman to oines ani his oines mikol makom betach lo tichaches alav ma'aseh. For sure he doesn't have the ma'aseh of having a mezuzah on his door, because it rotted away, even though he's oines, he didn't do it. So when it's oines rachmana patre, but so it's like he didn't do it, but not like he did it. Ma'aseh chadash lamor shehei lo mezuzah kashera. So the oines doesn't create a new ma'aseh but he has a mezuzah kasher. And so lo kayim mitzvah. Im ken shapir tzarech levdok v'nok. And therefore, even though it's an oines, he didn't do it. He still has to do the check. So the basic idea here we're saying is that you have a check to do, but it's only a miut that's the problem. So therefore, we go bust to the rive. My tefillin arrive, they're probably fine. My mezuzah are probably fine. Why do I have to check at all? What's the whole Indian of checking? Because even if there's a problem, chas v'chalila, it's only you're an oines, so therefore you're not punished. It says, yeah, you're not punished. You don't get the mitzvah. So he gives more examples of this. That's basically the yesod. He gives more examples of this. So we'll just go through them. I think some of them are interesting. Can learn, bring these into other parts of your life. Ubezeh ba'arti divrei Rambam hilchos chametz u'matzah mishum shenemar v'shemarti es mitzvah. That you have the mitzvah say of shemartem es mitzvahs. Kleimer tizahir b'mitzvahs u'shomru oto mikol tzad chimutz. So that you have the shmura matzah. This is what we're all eating. We have the shmura matzah. We keep them from all chimutz. Lefikach on chachamim, you have to be bedogin that when you eat it on Pesach, they shouldn't come to it shouldn't touch water after that you cut it down. So there shouldn't be any chimutz. So according to what the Rambam saying, so therefore the whole of Pesach you should have shmura matzah. But we have a big gadol hecham. How do we say in Pesachim? But tzikos shel noichrim. You have the dough of a goy, and they sell it in the shuk. So you can fill your mouth on it. You can stuff yourself with this dough of the goyim in the shuk. Because the dough of the goyim at the time, whatever that, there was no. We weren't worried about chometz. You look for the simonim of chimutz. So as long as you have on the Seder night, even as long as you have the kazais of matzah of matzah shmur at the end. So how can the Rambam say that you need shmartem at a mitzvahs, that you need to have mitzvah shmura for all of Pesach is mashma from the Rambam, and yet the Gemara says that you can just eat whatever you want. So but from my yisoid everything works good well. The be'emes l'chol miyos ein tzarich l'chush klal. Because the miut, any matzah which you get, that's not shmura matzah. It's only a miut that's a problem. It's only a miut that's going to be a chometz. So therefore, you can be soymech on the roiv that it's not chometz. So therefore, you don't need shmura matzah because it's not going to be chometz. And even if it is a miut, that is even if it is a miut of chometz, so you're an oines, so you didn't eat chometz, so you're fine. So therefore, you don't need shmura matzah. For that, it will only help you for the whole of Pesach, where you don't eat, whether you have this isser of eating chometz. The shov ki ein sarich lechush medina, and therefore meikar adin, you don't need to be worried about any matzah you get. Doesn't need to be shmura. Im kain im yachol hu kamo shelo achol chametz klal, and therefore even if you ate the matzah that's not shmura and it turned out to have chometz, that's even whatever, we can speak about that more. But even if you ate the chometz matzah, you didn't eat it because you're oines in a lotasa. But that's lokem b'layla rishon. That's not so in the first day. The mitzvah la'achol matzah, because you have a mitzvah asay to eat matzah, and therefore if you're eating matzah, there's chometz. Therefore you didn't do the mitzvah. Im echod mani rava v'chometz. If you have this tiniest bit of chometz in it, im tomer she'achol matzah halovada lo achol matzah. If you say eat matzah, he didn't eat matzah because it has a bit of chometz in it, and therefore be'zasiba shia v'lekach sarach shimur. And therefore you need to have the shimur of the matzah. That's only for the Seder night of the mitzvah of eating the matzah, because even if you eat chometz, you're not yotze because you have to eat the matzah. But the rest of the time, it's only an isser of don't eat chometz, and therefore even if you eat non-shmura matzah, you didn't eat the chometz because it has an OUP on it, and you're an oines, and therefore since you're oines, you never ate the chometz. But that's not good enough for the mitzvah atzei, because if chas v'chalila there's a shemetz of chometz in the matzah, then even though you're oines, you didn't eat chometz. It doesn't help you for doing the mitzvah. Is that Yesod and Chiluk clear? I can go further into the din of matzah on Pesach, but is that Chiluk clear there in the Yesod?
Yeah, that makes a lot of sense.
So, weiter on the matzah on Pesach. Firstly, all the matzah we eat is shmura matzah. You can't get kosher matzah on Pesach that's not shmura matzah. However, what says shmura matzah on it is shmura from the katsira, not from the lisha. There's a maklokas in the Rishonim as to whether shmura needs to be from the katsira or whether shmura needs to be from the lisha, from when you turn into a dough. So the Rambam here holds, he's bringing out, the Rambam holds that you need the shmura from the katsira. Now it's even less likely, it's extremely unlikely that the wheat, when it's not milled, is going to turn into chometz. So that's the shmura matzah. So we're super machmir. The general minhag of Klal Yisrael is to have shmura matzah on the Seder night and then just kosher matzah for the rest of the 7 days. So again, this is like what the Meshach is speaking out here. It also plays out because the matzah that we eat, again, it is shmura matzah. It is only shmura from lisha, but Klal Yisrael is so machmir, we don't call that shmura matzah because it's not shmura from the lisha, from the katsira. It's only shmura from the lisha. So now, but what the Meshach is speaking out is that since there's only a mitzvah on the first night of Pesach, so therefore you only need shmura matzah on the first night. The rest of the time you don't need to worry about chometz in your matzah. However, there's a machlokas, and the Gro famously holds that there is a mitzvah every day to have matzah. So you still have an inyan of having the shmura matzah on every day because you want to be shomer to fulfill the mitzvah according to the Gro and others. However, there is an argument to be made that our matzah anyway is shmura, again, is shmura from lisha, and therefore there's no real, it's a chumrah on a chumrah on a chumrah, shelo l'tzorach, you could say, because it's, again, it's very unlikely, especially today, again, where the Gemara is talking about eating dough of goyim on Pesach, and we're having this, again, it's OUP or whatever it is, and that's not, it's just not shmura from katsira. It's a mir of a mir of a mir. But again, if you want to be machmir and that's where you want to spend your money, okay, that's fine or whatever. But I saw Rabbi Melamed say that some people waste their money on fine clothes and furniture. And I'm like, wow, what a high way to waste your money. I'm sure there's more frivolous ways to waste your money. So if you want to waste your money on fine clothes and furniture, why not waste your money on shmura matzah on the whole of Pesach? But generally, the Ikr Din, again, because all our matzah, again, the Meshach was 250 years ago. But all our matzah is like, even if it's not shmura matzah, it's super kosher. So it's difficult to say that there's an inyan to have shmura matzah all 7 days, and when you include the inyan, when you include the savara of what the Meshach is talking about, so therefore you have quite a glass shita for what Klal Yisrael really does, which will be to have shmura matzah on the Seder night, and then not shmura matzah, just kosher matzah on the rest of Pesach.